Alright, Facebookers, we're here to make an episode. This is my friend Daniel. Talk about a little background.
But we have the same degree.
We're both artists.
Both artists. We're on the opposite sides of the spectrum as far as politics go.
Oh, yes.
Complete opposite.
And we still get along.
But we still get along. We can still have functional conversations, and we don't hate each other afterwards. We don't try to change each other's opinions. We sort of hear each other out and leave it at that.
We agree to disagree.
Yeah, there you go.
Alright, so what do you think about the Wall Street takeover?
I really don't have a problem with people protesting. I think that's part of our rights as Americans. You know, if you have an issue with something that's going on as far as politics or the economy or anything like that, you know, it's our right to, you know, voice our opinions for change. My issue is when people go about it in a violent way. I don't think that helps anything. It doesn't prove anything. It sort of shuts people down once you start getting violent, and you're not really gonna get anybody to hear your side after that. At least in my experience, that's kind of what I've noticed.
I agree with him. And you guys know from my previous episode, my opinion is, I personally think that diplomacy if it doesn't work after a certain amount of time, it's time to raise the stakes. I do believe that if we get results through violence, then so be it, without hurting nobody, right? This whole Wall Street protest, I do, like I've said before, you know, protesting, breaking windows and stuff is not going to do a change, at least for the 1%. Now if you start burning their money or their property, then that's when they'll start reacting.
In reality, all that's doing is hurting the little man. You know, the small business owner who owns that coffee shop, you know, in downtown or on Wall Street. You know, now they have to put, you know, the money out to fix what you destroyed. That's not helping anybody. It's not helping your cause, and it's not going to help the people that you're trying to get to support you. On a fundamental level, I don't agree with the whole 99% thing. But that we can leave that for another day. We can talk about that another time.
Yeah.
That's going to be a long conversation.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. And in this issue, we're divided. Go ahead, say why you support the Second Amendment.
Well, you know, it is our constitutional right. You know, the Second Amendment. It gives us the freedom to own firearms. I think there's a lot of misconception. I think there's a lot of people that don't really understand firearms. You know, it's basically a tool. If you leave it, let's say you even left it on the table, loaded and cocked and ready to go, it's an inanimate object. A firearm isn't going to do anything without someone making it do something. So there's a lot of people that are just naturally fearful of firearms because of the media. The media portrays people who own firearms as irresponsible and reckless. You know, and even watching movies, you could see that people, you know, someone gets shot and they go flying 30 feet. You know, and you know, in reality, that's not how it happens. And you know, gun owners are some of the most, as far as the ones that I know, they're some of the most responsible people that I know. I don't know anybody that owns a firearm and doesn't take it serious. You can own a firearm, but owning it has a lot of responsibility behind it. So just owning a firearm doesn't really make you proficient in using it. So I do believe that owning a firearm you should seek out training in how to properly and safely use that firearm. There's a lot of companies out there that teach people, they teach law-abiding citizens how to use their firearms and how to treat it with respect, which is basically what you have to do. Like I said, it's a right that we have, and as long as you're a law-abiding citizen, then you should be allowed to own a firearm. That's basically the way I see it.
My point of view is, yes, you're right about it. It's a tool. You can use a screwdriver and still kill someone. So it's not so much the gun that kills, it's the person that uses it. But I mean, what state, at least in the United States, is not required for you to take a training to buy a gun. All it does is a background check. Now, when we talk about the Second Amendment, we have to think about what, within the context of when it was written. It was right after the Revolutionary War. The country was still weak, and you remember the War of 1812 when the British tried to take over the country. If it wasn't because of that Second Amendment, most of the citizens in the early United States would have no weapons. So you have to think about that context of when it was written, the law.
Yeah,
amendment.
That's true. And back then, we had muskets, black powder rifles and things like that. But there isn't a whole lot of difference now. I mean, basically it was for the citizens of the nation to be able to, as it says, a well-regulated militia. I'm sure you've read it before.
Yeah.
It was so that the citizens could defend themselves, and nothing's changed. We still seek out that ability to be able to defend ourselves.
Yeah, but no country is gonna come and take over the nation.
Well, we hope. It's not so much also that it's going to be another nation, but you have the right to defend your family and your property. Not getting too complicated into it, because the state of California is pretty liberal, or towards the left at least.
Like one thing I want to say is that, like how we're talking about the people who are protesting Wall Street, it's because of one person or two persons that start breaking windows, then everybody's like, they see the movement as a bad thing. Oh, they're only here to vandalize, and it's one or two people that end up breaking windows. Same thing with guns. It takes one person or two persons to do a shooting rampage, and it just looks bad.
Right.
So,
it looks bad on everybody, and the media plays into a lot of that. Depending on what you like to watch, CNBC or Fox, whatever. The media is there for entertainment, and you have to take it with a grain of salt whenever you're watching the news or any sort of news programs. It's supposed to be a biased opinion, or whatever, but of course there's people behind the scenes at CNBC, at Fox.
Well, what do you say about the fact that the United States has the highest rate of homicides, and Canada actually has a higher sales of guns than the United States, and yet their homicide level is really low?
Well, that's another thing, is a armed community is a community that like, we'll put it in this context. If the state of California, let's say they allowed firearms to be carried concealed, you would think twice as a criminal if you thought, hey, I'm going to go rob that lady, I'm going to go take all of her money, and then you had a second thought, you're like, well, maybe not, because she might be carrying a concealed weapon. Criminals prey on the weak. That is a fact that I know personally, and you could just watch the news, where you can look at states where people are allowed to carry firearms concealed, and they have a lower crime rate. And I know that a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're going to think twice before trying to break into someone's house, or try and strong arm some old lady if you know that she's, packing a gun, and she might be able to defend herself that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have gone this back and forth
A few times.
and throughout a couple of years already, and it's like we're not trying to prove each other wrong or right. We're just trying to listen to each other's point of view. We already gone past 10 minutes, and we were talking about trying to keep this short.
Didn't happen.
It didn't happen, and it's not gonna happen. But we wanted to show you guys, or at least I wanted to show you guys, that we come from two different sides of the spectrum when it comes to politics, and we still get along. Right now we're gonna go out, have a lemonade or whatever, and I don't think bad of him, and he doesn't think bad of us.
Not at all.
And that's how it should be. I met people who when I talk about this, the Second Amendment, right away they get picky about it, and right away don't tread on my Second Amendment. Well, I'm not trying to tread on your Second Amendment. He's letting you know why I don't agree with it, and I'll just leave it at that.
If you're gonna own a gun, go get training. lmsdefense.com.